Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! Fuck around and find out what that is!
Hey there, guys. How's it going? You may have noticed for this particular episode, I really didn't post a topic. Not necessarily, not like I normally doing, teaching a topic, talking it through, etc. Hey, by the way, hit like and share while you're here. And the reason I didn't do that is I ended up sitting here, I'm probably at the desk getting ready to go as much as a couple hours before any given program. And just telling you the truth, because I'm always just truthful and transparent with you. Sitting here, getting prepared, a lot of different things that I could have or whatever talked about. I saw a reply in my Twitter from my very good friend, Bobby Python. And I'd mentioned something on the program the other day about I thought something was going on with Bobby Python. And anyway, and so the new post just kind of worried me a bit. Bobby's such an incredibly smart fellow. But it literally worried me, and I found myself sitting here reflecting over this industry, business, or whatever you want to call it, of podcasting, or fighting for, trying to get our elections fixed and everything else, and just all the fighting around. And I realized, there are many of us that have been worn down or broken by this process, right? That have been broken by this process. Just watching all this chaos going on with the added weight of, fighting in the trenches or fighting for the government or trying to get election fixed and everything else, I realized that it weighs on everybody. And so what I wanted to do is I just wanted to do a mental health check. Does that sound weird? I just want to do a mental health check with everybody. So I want you to think about it. We'll kind of start in a scale from a 1 to 10. I want you to think about it. We'll go to the opening of the show and then we'll come back. And you're right. This has been a very, very, very strange journey that we have all been on for a very long time. And so I want you to think on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I'm just about to bottom out, everything sucks, and 10 being I feel great, I'm doing fine. I want you to think about where you are on a scale from 1 to 10, and let's just have a conversation about our mental health. Now, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. It's a very simple process. I'm just asking you, okay, to go to jovanlovesgold.com. I want you to request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. So all this is all of us doing a group checkup. One is I'm at rock bottom. We've been there before. We've even in our own family here and having discussions. We've had people that, had discussed ending their lives, thought everything was over. We've been there. We've done that. We've talked about it. We've family members being gone. So 1 is I'm at my rock bottom. 10 is I'm freaking great. If I was any more happier, I'd be twins. And I just want to see where you are in all of this crap as we do a checkup from the neck up. So share this program right now, and we'll get started right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! Fuck around and find out what that is!
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, the program normally, crap, that's why I named it Cut the Crap, stands for Culture, Race, and American Politics. But I realize, and I guess maybe especially with our program here together, my program is, you are a very, very important part of this program because, at a moment's notice, depending upon what's going on with you, I'm totally willing to go, now just take my program that direction and we go. You play part of this whole program. And when I say that we're all in this together, I truly mean we are all in this together. And so, as I said, kind of in the opening bit, telling you where I was thinking, I'm sitting here, there's a lot of different things I could cover, but I was very concerned about a post that my friend Bobby Piton did a few days back, and then he posted another one, I guess today or last night. And it was fairly innocent, but it also had some things in it that alarmed me. So I looked at it and I sat here for a while and I did some forensics on a photograph he posted and reposted it back. You can see it in his account. I just did some forensics and say, okay, here's maybe what you're kind of looking at, Bobby. And I expressed, look, I'm concerned. And Bobby is just one of the most gentle spirits and really, really just a smart fellow, right? So what it did is it kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I'm sitting here just thinking about everything. And then I'm thinking about my fellows, my friends and acquaintances that are put themselves in the same hot seat, right? Talking to you, sharing what's going on, whether it be politics or sharing what's going on in elections or whatever the case may be. It's a constant battle. And those of us that are, say, we call it on this front line, many times we see a lot more than you see. And so one of the things I have noticed amongst the broadcasting brotherhood, let's call it, is it's wearing many people out as well. Now, for me, it was a standard part of my life because for years, doing television and radio, I'm used to the grind. Here it is, go, boom, be on a moment's notice, doing, news or TV or whatever the case may be. But most people never been in that seat, don't realize what a grind it can be to keep at it and to put the content out. And so I have seen behind the scenes many people that you watch or otherwise dealing with all the stress and trouble that comes with it. Because if you really care about your work and you're sitting here doing this, fighting for your country, and at the same time behind the scenes, you just see crap going on and you eventually get to the point that you don't know who or what or when or where to believe things, it can get trying and you can feel betrayed. And you can also feel this shitty ass government's just not going to do anything. And I'm fed up. So at times it feels like all your fight is for nothing. I tell you that because the stress that we're all going through and that we're all feeling is very real, right? Is very, very real. The pressure that you feel is no different. And did I use the brotherhood? It was just what am I supposed to say? Sisterhood? I don't know how to identify them hood or just the fucking hood, the hood rats, whatever it is in podcasting. I just felt we all kind of need to check in. Now, I don't mention every single comment I see on the screen, right? But I do see when you're worried about your kids or your grandbabies, or you're worried about the health of your spouse, or you're just totally fed up with something, or you lost your loving pet or whatever. I see all these things go by as we do this, right? Just like I see just wants to do a mind control investigation. Here's the link. As I just booted that shit. Right? So I see all this stuff. I don't know if I'm sweet. What? I don't know if I'm sweet. I got to tell you, I wouldn't call myself as sweet. It's not sweet. And I'll just be honest with you. I am a 100% hardened, tough individual, right? And I can go from just hanging out and telling jokes to bang, I can turn on the business and I'm just lightsaber, laser, boom, cut to the shit. Don't give me any extra words. I don't want to hear any extra words. Just fucking get to it. Let's get to business, right? So I'm not a good one to compare it to, but I don't know that I'm sweet. I would say I care. Absolutely, I care. And I can relate. Absolutely, I can relate. So for the sake of that, let me see which chat I can pop out. I am going to pop out the Rumble chat. Okay? Let me set my screen up here. Now I want you to understand just a fact of the internet and bringing broadcasting and stuff to you. There is a delay between you actually hear me asking the question and when your numbers come up, right? So I want to share this screen. So let me get it situated up here because I just want people to be able to see. Unfortunately, the only one I can really pop this up with, right? And Bat Quarter, no, you don't have to put on pans for this, but you do have to lower your camera. Anyway, I just want to see how you're doing, right? I just want to see how you're doing. And so here's my question, and I wish I could do it with people on Instagram. It doesn't let me do that, but Rumble's the easiest one because it has a pop-out feature, as you can see on my screen. Okay, so here's the deal, and you heard me right, and you can kind of see the delay in chat. So here's my first question, and this is all about you, baby. First question is, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being I am at basically my rock bottom, and 10 meaning I'm so freaking good. If I was any better, I'd be twins. I want to know where you stand mentally, right? Mentally. Where do you stand mentally? Okay. Like CMAX says 6.9. Where do you stand mentally? Now, over on the other platform, right? PM Your Nachos says 2. Deborah says she's a 10. Henry says she's a 9. 9.6, 8, 8, 8, 9 and Furious, 8, 8, right? Kay says she has a therapist. So I just want to know where you stand, right? And don't be afraid if you're a 2 or a 3 or a 1 or whatever, right? We got a 4, we got a 7, right? We got a solid 10. So this question was, where are you right now mentally in your life? That's it. It's just a question about you. Where are you in your life? Okay, that's it. In your life. Now, I know most are pissed off. I know that. Okay. And I know many of you are going, but people just aren't seeing what in the hell's going on out there. Right? Etc. Okay, we got a 4.5. Can I get a 3.5? Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? I just want to know where you are. Now we're going to change the dialogue. I'm making this program about you. This is the way you can communicate with everybody else, okay? Etc. Right? Here's my next question. And by the way, we are all 100%, every one of us are doing ups and downs and ups and downs. Okay? Because I got to tell you, when you care about your country and you watch some of this shit happen, it breaks your heart. It can't help but break your heart. Now, here's the question. And by the way, yeah, it could be Stress on your job could be adding. Now, here's the next question. I want to get very focused on this. When it comes to the Trump administration, this is now only about Trump. When it comes to the Trump administration, 1 means he sucks ass and they're horrible and whatever, and 10 means they're kicking ass and doing what we hired them, because that's what we did to do. Where are you on the Trump administration right now? Where do you sit on the Trump administration? We got a 9 on one platform. We got an 8. We got a 10. We got another 10. We got a 9 plus, 9, another 10, 9, 9, a 7, a 7.5, a 47. Okay, thank you. An 8. So I think we should probably say, right? And some of you have given a higher rating now with Pam Bondi gone, right? Jess, my wonderful friend out there on the West Coast, right? It's okay to feel burned out, and it's time you have to take breaks. And I understand that, sweetheart. It's time to have to take breaks, right? Especially some of the stuff you go through, since I know you personally, and you've got an extra load that other people don't carry. So I can imagine seeing people's crap on top of crap, and then struggles you have to go through and hard work you have to go through, etc. I can imagine it's hard. Yeah, CMAX says $6.54 for diesel. So let's just say that overall we're okay. Okay, we're okay on Trump. Now I'm going to change the question. Where are you on John Thune? Now, John Thune, right, controlling everything in the House, what comes up to vote and everything else, is putting off posting the SAVE Act. But he has now said, no matter what it is, I will not remove the digital currency part from any bill, which says, central banking, digital banking, the universal digital coin. He says it's going to be in anything. It's just going to be there. Where are you on his ass? Well, there you go. A 0, a 3, a 1, a 3-point time, a fuck Thune, a Thune fuck, a 0.01. Yes, I think Thune is a traitor. We got a negative 10. Look at that. We got a 6-degree polynomial. You're right. And it's crap. It's total crap. Because here's what I want you to think about. It doesn't matter what the people want. It doesn't matter what the president may want. It might not even matter what the party wants. One person, if they're a bad egg, can hold it up. There's Thune. Think about that. Buffoon, you're right. He's a sellout. And think about that. Most of us consider ourselves conservative, and it's okay if you're a liberal here. It doesn't matter. But he's only there to thwart Trump. That's it. Can you think of any logical reason other than control that they want to force digital banking on it? It's so they can shut everything off, folks. That's it. And you're right. He had a good teacher. He came from that crap. Trump's out. Okay, hang on 1 second. I want to go back. Hold on. Who did that? TD Trump derangement syndromes AMS. Trump out. Does that mean you want Trump out? Qualify that. TD Trump derangement syndrome. Always making shit. I don't know. I'm just making up your acronym. I don't know who you are. I don't know. I've seen that. Tell me what it is when you say that Trump is out. And then maybe consider coming on and we'll talk about it as I'm stuffy here with allergies coming in. How about you? But have you ever thought about that? That was probably the most sobering thing. Oh, I meant Thune is a Trump out. Got it. Words matter. You got to put the whole thing in there. Thank you. I realized this soberingly that the county recorders in Maricopa County kind of have more power than the president of the United States when you look at the crap they can do. I think what I'm fed up with is knowing how many rat bastards there are that go around parading like they're conservatives and heroes. Okay, well, here we go. Okay, all we got is a war and now a ballroom, not what I voted for. Okay, let's talk about that. What war are you talking about? Jane, what war are you talking about? Iran. Are we at war with Iran? And you're welcome to come on, we can talk about it. But in my book, we're not at war with Iran. We haven't declared war on Iran, and we're not prosecuting a war. We are protecting American interest, and we have stopped taking their bullshit threats. And in order to protect our economy and interests that affect us all, right? Yeah, Jane, I'd love to have you on. Okay, no problem. I understand. That's cool. I personally don't think we're at war. We're not. For 47 years, Iran has abused us, etc. These are the guys trying to destroy our country that are smuggling in terrorists and stuff. We are stopping that, but we are not at war with Iran. Iran is at war with us. I know it's maybe a little wordplay there, but I don't think we're at war. Now you say a ballroom. You didn't vote for a ballroom, right? I understand part of what's going on in the ballroom part because you just saw the King of England come to America. You got to pay attention to these things. President Trump is forcing, and by the way, we didn't pay for the ballroom. President Trump is forcing foreign leaders who have been abusing us to come sit before our people. To come to our country, to deal with us on our terms. He's forcing the entire world to do that. Now, let me tell you why that's important on several angles. Those countries make it like we've got to kiss their ass. Bullshit. We pay for their crap. He's already told them, we're not paying for your shit any longer. You have to understand that. He's basically saying, I'm taking back money. This has a lot to do with NATO too. It's always on their terms. Okay? And he is, in fact, basically saying, you're going to come here on our terms. He's making them come here and get in terms. And who says, if so, why is Israel involved? Okay, Mo Better, if you want to come on, we'll talk about it. I'll get to it. But hold on, right? In building the ballroom, what they're doing is they're upping the security for the president in a very controlled environment. You got to understand the security aspects of this. And so instead of this running around kissing foreign dignitaries' feet, he's making them come here. And doing it in a manner that the president himself and future presidents will be more protected. And you talked about President Trump walking ahead of the king. That's not allowed anywhere in the world. And by the way, the president can't do that in their country, but he got him here and said, fuck you. This is our country. You've got to understand what's going on in that ballroom. There are also a tremendous amount of features and technologies in that ballroom that you don't even know about that are here to protect our country. But let's go back. Okay, you're pissed about a ballroom and you say we're at war, which we're not at war. Do you not notice that the border illegal crossing is 0? Are you not catching, although we're going through this uncomfortable time, that 430 plus tankers, ships left the Middle East and came to America to get our oil right here? The whole scope has changed. The entire scope of how America deals with the world has changed. But we're getting our news from podcasters who have no idea. No idea. Right? They just ran an operation, right? They just ran an operation in Minneapolis with these illegals, 21 different operations apprehending people. You say you're upset about the deportations. Let me ask you a question. Who are the ones standing in the way of that? Trump administration? The cities that are important importing the criminals, right? Importing the criminals and need them there are the ones standing in the way. They're hiding the criminals. But yet you think it's Trump's fault. Think about that just for a minute. We're putting it on Trump. But that is so not Trump. It is the cities. But see, if Trump didn't do what he was doing, you wouldn't see the cities doing it. It's just like the election stuff. They're all fighting not to turn over the voter rolls. Watch what President Trump's doing. He is not going after a city, single city or whatever, saying, get rid of the machines and turn them into prison bars. You know why he's not doing that? Because he knows it's not enforceable and it's a waste of freaking time. So what is the president doing? It's the rolls. He knows where the ammo is. It's the rolls. Then he pushes for the states to turn them over. And you see the states fighting it. See, they'll turn over the cast vote records, which are supposedly digital copies, because they know there's 6 versions, and they know the Lindell crowd of idiots had no idea there were 6 versions and asked for the final one. President Trump knows the game. So he knows when he demands the states have to do it, because he can do that. We need to inspect your rolls to confirm compliance. You're going to turn them over. When they don't, he gets to cut off the money. See, he can't say, get rid of the machines. He can't. He doesn't have that power. But he has the power under security. Turn over the rolls. We're going to double check them with you. When they don't, he gets to cut them off. You have to understand what's going on. And you have to understand how much pushback President Trump has. And I'll give you an example. Just in the last few weeks, where you see states like Michigan, Wisconsin, absolutely refusing to turn over the voter rolls because they know. You see the Lindell crowd and this crowd and these crowds, all the people out there, right? Right? Etc. doing it. The fraud warrants, right? The fraud warrants, okay, that they did in Minneapolis, yes, have to do with illegals. That's where a lot of that money is washed and giving illegals cover with that money too, paying people off. Anyway, but at the same time, President Trump and everything's fighting for the voter rolls. The road show's going on again. You got to do this. You got to Gideon this. You got to do this. You got to bow tie this. You got to do this. Sometimes you can't see the war right in front of you. But people don't understand the strategy. You have to watch the very cities that run these scams with elections. When you watch what they withhold and what they sue to stop, they're telling you exactly how it occurs. Just watch what they sue over. Why are they suing? Oh, we can't show you the voter rolls because that's where the ammo is. Watch what they sue over. And that's where I think many people just don't maybe understand all of the forces at work in all of this, etc. So now here's my new question. Now, here's what I mean. This is not about you as a person per se. Here's the question. I want to know where you are intellectually in knowledge base. From 2020 to now, on that scale of 1 to 10, 1 in this case would be, well, I'm still the same as I was in 2020, or 10 is I am off the charts in my learning. Where are you on your knowledge base now? Right? That means what you've learned going through this process, what you've learned about what it really is being American, what you've learned about how all this shit works, or understanding the media for what it is. Where are you in that process? Right? I'm thinking most people should really be zooming up on that. Right? And again, Kate, you shouldn't trust anyone. And we don't know what's still hidden by the fact that it's still hidden and it hasn't been exposed yet. But if you look at yourself, you are zooming off the charts with your intellectual abilities to now understand how this works. You as an individual have changed in this process. And the fact that it goes to your absolute bones of discernment and knowledge, I'm thinking everybody, if you've paid attention, you are zooming off the charts. You've left your family behind. You thought liberals were fucking ignorant to begin with. You now know liberals are truly ignorant and it's a disease. Your intellectual abilities, right? Your intellectual abilities to be able to see the crap, to identify the crap, to call out the crap, to go toe to toe with liberals and never even have to get into a shouting match, right? You're off the charts. Off the charts. And most of us, I included, I never knew we had so much corruption in our government. I never did. But you got to understand, now that we know it, that is a freaking gift. See, this is the way God, when I look at it, and it's why I'm asking you, this is the way God talks to people. You are watching an incredible revival of the people being evolving into a process going, no freaking more. Now that is an incredible gift. With that said, if you go back to this, yeah, my leering center. I have a leering center. I'll leer at you. Don't you leer at me. We have been given incredible gifts. If you truly think about it, and I will speak just for me, and I've told you this before, I didn't give a shit about politics. I got offered my first political show for radio, ABC Radio, Susquehanna. I got offered my first political show in it's either 96 or 97. And I said, I hate politics. I'm not political. I don't give a shit. And I also didn't give a shit about sports, which is why I started talking about technology to begin with, because the new technology is going to change our lives. I say that because I did not give a shit about politics all the way down to the ballot. I just didn't care. I didn't care. And I didn't pay attention. And I actually didn't think it affected me. I mean, how stupid is that? And I consider myself a smart guy. Right? Then I get all the way to 2020. Watch this election go bad. It wasn't political. I supported Trump and stuff, but I wasn't political. Meaning really getting into the hardcore. And then when 2020 happened, my life changed. And then I realized, oh my God, this stuff I ignored really does affect my life. And I had no idea. And I treated a ballot or election day like, who gives a shit? Or, okay, maybe if it was, somebody I really liked, but I didn't vote down ticket. And I now realize I was wrong. Right? I was freaking wrong. So here's my question. On the political part of the eye-opening, meaning now you being in tune to politics and how it really works. From 2020 on, and seeing everything like Red Dog says, seeing the communist mentality of academics, that's all politics. Where are you on that scale? One would be I'm kind of still the same I was, it's kind of always here in politics. Or 10, my entire view and knowledge base of how politics works and what really does has just exponentially exploded. You might even understand it better, or you might understand how it's more crooked. It doesn't matter. But where are you on that scale in this journey from 2020 that where you've gone? Now, most people would probably say 10s. I'm seeing just a ton of 10s. Do you understand how transformative that is? That is transformative in nature. Now, you're not the only ones, right? We're talking here maybe as it relates to this program and your following, but that's kind of in many places going on everywhere. Do you understand how beneficial that is to the American system? Corey has an excuse. You worked in politics, a campaign manager and stuff, right? But think about what we've learned. Think about how far we've come. Now, I want you to understand, that's a gift. Robbie says, I went from not voting to an election inspector. There you go. We're not the same people, folks. None of us. Now imagine if it was 70 million people in America that knew what you knew. right? Think about that. Now, I reflect that back to you because you got to understand what I've said for a very long time. We're it. And I really mean it. When you understand the power that you have, because you've taken the time to learn, we talked about it, in PhD classes, you might go through 300 hours of lectures. If you watched half of the content we've done over the last 12 months, half of content we've brought for total broadcast hours, you're almost 1,400 hours in. What's that, 11 PhDs worth? Think about that. Is that right? Yeah. No, 5 PhDs worth. Think about that. Think about the power behind that. Think about how far you have come on the power spectrum. How many credits is this class? 1 million. It's the only class in the world worth 1 million credits if you can sit through it. And you're right. You're seeing it everywhere. It's kind of an upgrade. You're seeing some of these politicians now being questioned. Reporters are getting wise to it too. If they're even quasi to it, they're asking questions that never got asked anymore. Denise Montgomery says, my husband hates that I listen to you every morning, and that's my free will. Well, wait till he sees our pictures together. No, anyway, and Denise, I mourn for you on that front because your house is not united, and that's, of course, CMAC gives us 420 credits, right? But even some of you, your houses are divided, and that's tough. But think about this. Think about this. Not only are you not the same person, intellectually, you're through the roof. You know more than most politicians. Now, here, I'll do this one. Deborah Richardson says, I'm still waiting for the arrest to start. So, Deborah, I'll wait for your pop back up. Tell me what's going to happen. Give me the most perfect arrest. Deborah, let's do it this way. Give me the most perfect arrest name that you want to see happen. Put it on the screen. In fact, any of you, if you want any one single person, be serious. If you want any one single person, there you go. Kubota-san says, I can meet with any county clerk and confidently discuss election systems. You're right. You're on it. If you could have one elected official put in jail, right? We've got Fauci's, we've got Obama's, we've got Gates, we've got Obama. Let's just take Gates first. 2 questions. First off, what would you arrest Bill Gates for? I personally don't think there's anything Bill Gates could be arrested for. And I got to tell you, if Republicans started arresting Gates just because of all the online stuff, I'd be fighting Republicans. Do you know why? Because I wouldn't want that done in any government, just based on what's heard or what the rumor mill is or any of that. We don't want that. Now, maybe like CMAC says for Windows 95, right? The next thing is let's take Fauci. Okay. What would happen if Fauci was arrested? Put it on the screen. If Fauci were arrested, Bill Gates, for crimes against humanity, right? That's a high bar to jump. His vaccines crippled a lot of children. Bill Gates does not make vaccines. I know what you're thinking. Bill Gates does not make vaccines. Bill Gates, through his philanthropy, gives out grants and stuff, and some of those grants went to places doing vaccines, right? And you know, here we go. It says billions of people are still vaccinated because he told them to. I would, and I love you to death, Denise, but I would still push back on that. I don't think billions of people saw Bill Gates on TV and goes, the Windows guys wants me to get vaccinated, so I'm going to go get vaccinated. I don't believe that either. I don't believe that either. And remember, I sat behind the scenes fighting for very simple triage of COVID, dealing with these people who intentionally just waited for a vaccine because that's all they wanted to do, because that's how they made more money. So they ignored everything else. But think about this, right? And you talk about, okay, let's just keep on with Bill Gates. Bill Gates for pushing GMOs. Why would Bill Gates push GMOs? It's two things. It's very apparent. A GMO does improve the end product. So let's just take a corn. A GMO, when they genetically modified the corn to reject a fungus, right? That is absolutely, scientifically wise, that is an improvement. Could he have an incentive in it because they want to sell the seeds? And that, unfortunately, that's business as normal since the 1950s, right? But that's business. And so you got to understand for what's really going on. What he's really doing is practicing his business. Hang on one second. Right? This is where we've got to understand cause and effect. I think Denise put here. Hang on. Let me go back. Where is it? Hold on. Denise says, my mother has gotten 8 COVID-19 vaccines, and now she's in stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Yeah. So the question is, even TK says, Bill Gates used Africa as an experiment. I'm trying to get you focused here. Is it Bill Gates or is it the system? This is where we've really got to do it. Why would Bill Gates buy up farmland to control water and crop production? It's another way of control. If he already controls the seeds, and farmer has to buy the seeds, but if he can get in between it and have the land and the water, he gets to even cut the farmer out. Saray says, my father got 3 COVID vaccines, 4 booster, died 2 weeks ago. Lived to 101. How about that? I'm only trying to get you focused on something. I don't think Bill Gates sits at the top of the system, but he's at the top of the profiteers of the system. WNTCR says, my wife has lost 2 babies since COVID-19 rollout, right? It's horrible. But here's the deal. Would this stop if, in fact, right? Here, let's put this up. Hey, dear. How you doing, Naveen? Fauci is responsible for millions of deaths from COVID and for giving the public false info regarding safety and cure that could have been helped get them better, but instead he promoted them as dangerous meds and that they cannot take them for COVID, like ivermectin. He then encouraged people to take the vaccine if they didn't get fired from their job. The 6 feet distant stupid rule, old people in nursing homes alone, etc., are not allowed to visit them. So when you see that formula, okay, I'm gonna get a fact real quick. Hang on one second. Okay, I'll do this in reverse. We're going to use Naveen's Fauci example. Okay? But I'm going to play it back to you differently. First off, when it comes to vaccines, you have to examine your belief system first. Is that okay? You have to examine your personal belief system first. That's key. So now let's go to your personal belief system. Do you believe in getting every vaccine there is, and if a vaccine comes out, you must get it? So start with your own belief system first. Now, for me, as a parent, I didn't pay attention. As I got older and understand, I am now anti-vaccine. I don't give a shit. Right? I didn't pay attention. Even with my own babies, I didn't pay attention. Now I'm going, fuck no, because I'm changed. My empirical data now comes from who is the best case example that, and I trusted vaccine. I trusted vaccines. I did. My oldest brother to this day has a limp. One leg's a little bit shorter. Why? He got hit with polio as a kid. So I never really questioned it. I never questioned it, ever. So a couple of things happened for me personally. As I got older and wiser, I was like, something's not right. I started early on understanding the direct connection, I believe, between what's going on with kids and autism and stuff, right? But then something else happened. If you remember when they tried to kill me, and I'm having to deal with doctors to try to find out what's going on, all of these damn doctors saying, we need to get you your COVID vaccine. And I'm saying, no. Even one doctor in one session told me 4 times. And I said, if you fucking tell me again, which is not your fucking job, I'm getting up and walking the fuck out. I'm not going to earn you your $35,000 fucking commission because you got me to take a COVID vaccine. That is what it took to shut them up. So that's an evolutionary process. Okay, that's a total evolutionary process. But here's what you said. Fauci, promoting vaccines, told us other things were bad when there were good things like ivermectin, blah, and all the. So you gave me a formula. So I'm going to give you a new formula. And I want to show you this is business, and that's where it went wrong. It's all driven by money. Okay? All driven by money. And I'm going to show you this. When did the world get told butter, right? Butter could possibly be bad for you? What year did there start to be rumors that butter might be bad for you? Do you know what year that was? Anybody? Somebody said 1980s, somebody said World War II, somebody said 1970s, somebody says 1950s. It all started in 1911. So you're saying the 70s, you're saying the 90s, right? Some of you are saying in the 45s. You're right. World War II did a lot to us. But when it actually started, it started in 1911. 1911. Yeah, that's the year the Titanic sunk. And what changed it? What changed it? Now, not petroleum. You would think petroleum. But here's what in 1911 is the best 45. I still carry my 1911 A1. That's my favorite. Anyway, in 1911, a product was created out of cotton seeds. They were experiencing stuff with cotton seeds. They were experimenting with it, and they found out this cotton seed, you got it, Linda, this cotton seed had some interesting oils in it. And so what they invented was a company called Procter and Gamble, and they made this thing called shortening. You know it as Crisco. Yeah. So they're tinkering around with this thing called Crisco. And so basically, and remember, lard is the best of all. But they found out they could take this. Now you got to understand, they could take a product that was being thrown away, cottonseed, and they could turn it into something. So what they did is the first play was they did cotton. So yeah, it's called shortening because it shortens your life. They basically discovered that cottonseed could make a cooking oil. Now, back at that time, okay, this is how it works. Back at that time, this was a September through November phenomenon for about 80% of America. And what was it? Everybody got together to butcher the hogs. Right? You butcher your hog, you're going to get your hams, you're going to get your bacon, you're going to get your hocks, everything else. But primarily, you're going to get a massive amount of lard. Now, lard's the best you can use, by far. But people made their own. But in the home, in the farm life, it's a long process. And making lard, you throw the little chunks in and melt them down, and then you get the cracklings left over. The cracklings are the leftover skin from the lard. But lard is the fantastic thing. And so what they did is they found out when they spun it, right? And by the way, bacon fat is a form of lard. They found out when they spun it, they were going, wow, this kind of looks like lard. And so what they did is they created an aggressive advertising campaign. And they basically said, hey, you could be free from having to make all that lard, which is one of the toughest days of your life each year. And by the way, we got all these recipes. We rewrote all of Mama's recipes to get rid of the lard and to have you make it with Crisco. So back in the, in those, we'll call them 19 teens, this was a massive campaign, probably be a $50 million campaign. So it was an industrial byproduct. So what they did is they convinced the public through advertising, one, that it was pure. Yeah, pure cottonseed, pure bullshit, right? So they convinced the public it was pure. They told the public it was economical because it was just basically dirt cheap. And so if you're not going to be enslaving in the kitchen and the lard and stuff, right? Here it is. And then last but not least, they promote it as kosher compliant. Now, see, they're using words like it's kosher where you think animal, but it had nothing to do with it. And so they started doing this advertising campaign, and it started to kick on, and they realized they could infiltrate the homes through recipes. Now, about the mid 19th century, when we're really getting television and stuff, right? And we're all going on the water bill and the electric bill and all the other stuff, right? Then they really kicked up, okay? They really just kicked it up. And it was, the shortcut became 100% vegetable shortening. Shortening is the process you do with lard. That's what it's called. So they did this bait and switch. No, this is vegetable shortening. And so this product took off. It became really key. But in the 50s, ironically, people started to push back against it a little bit. But it is the product that did two things. It got farmer and people that were burdened with it and didn't want to do tallow and lard to reduce it. Then they got it into the home with recipes and they sold you as an alternative. But people started noticing the issues with it. And then there was a move. Okay, this is really synthetic. It's just an oil. And you're just putting synthetic crap in, right? You ever try to eat a spoonful of Crisco? I did as a kid. It's horrible, right? I don't know, it ever dissolves in your body. People started to push back. And when that pushback happened, because of how much money they were making with a product that cost them nothing to make, squeeze it, whip it, that's where we started getting margarines, a total additional deception. So they take what is Crisco, basically, and they start yellow coloring it. And so it moved from vegetable shortening to a completely made up word, margarine. And convince you at that time, because people stopped rendering lard. The people that were healthier refused to use Crisco. The lard markets went really down in the United States to get lard. So people started switching to butter. So what'd they do? Through an advertising campaign, they convinced you butter was what was giving you heart attacks, that butter was bad for you. They got rid of one good product that was really good, which they couldn't control because you can make your own lard. They got rid of the other product, which is never bad, but they couldn't control it because people could make it at home, and substitute them with things they could make and insert. And what they do in the process, they convince you that butter was bad. It's all BS. Now, there is no difference in the pharmaceutical world. None. Zero. Not a one. And so what they did is they sold you a campaign, okay, that told you this is better, right? That is better, and told you the real things didn't work. Now, that's not government, that's marketing. And America switched. Right? American switched. That's how long this has been going on. When was the single largest opioid epidemic in the United States of America? I'll show you again how this works. When was the number one epidemic, the opioid epidemic in the United States of America? When was it? And you know, we got people all over the streets and whatever stuff, right? When was it? 90s, 80s, Oxycontins, whatever. The Civil War. Bet you didn't know that one. Back in the Civil War, cocaine, opium, and all the stuff was over the shelf. You could get it. Wasn't regulated. But it was something they could extract and make. Literally, what ramped up opioid use was the Civil War. See, they already had opium dens. It wasn't illegal. You could go smoke and do that stuff, laudanum, all this other stuff. You could go smoke and do it. But during the Civil War, it really ramped up because we had men in the field that needed it, needed the opium and everything else. They're dealing with wounds. And so who cornered the opium market in the United States? The North. And one of the ways they fought the war to try to win it is the North basically cornered and got a hold of all of the opium trade. And they did it to hurt the South, to make their soldiers suffer. But right after the war, and as this was going on, 1 out of 4 adult Americans in the United States was addicted to opioids. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 adults. And by the way, adult age at that time was 13. 1 out of 4 in our country was addicted to opioids. But the system learned something, right? Before we got to opioids and cocaine and stuff, how did we treat pain? How did we do surgeries? The South ended up having to do surgeries with no morphine and no opium. Fuck, they just cut your fucking leg off and not try to put you out. But before that, we were doing surgeries. We were doing stuff, right? We were knocking out pain for teeth, for everything else. We had sleep aids to help you get to sleep and calm. And it was totally legal. What was it? Not booze, something else. Yeah, Tristan, you're right. Holy fucking shit. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 adult Americans. Yeah, it was plants. You know what plant it was? Wild lettuce. You know what wild lettuce looks like? Let me show you this. You probably have this in your garden, but you don't grow it. You probably just think it's a fucking weed. Hang on, let me get a good shot. But you've seen it all over the place. Here you go. Hang on. Bear with me. Oop, was that it? Nope. This grows all over the United States of America. You've probably seen it all the time. It's related to the dandelion. It looks a lot like a dandelion, except it has a large red stalk to it, and it'll do a little bit of yellow flowers, right? Wild lettuce. It's not dandelion. When you break open the stem of wild lettuce, let me see if I can find a picture of it. Hang on. It makes something called lactarium. Lactarium here. Let me just show you a picture. When you break open a wild lettuce, what it does is it secretes what's really interesting, a white latex. Let me find the picture. Where the fuck did you go? Hang on. I'm going to do it a different way. So when you break open this plant, you've probably seen it. You had no idea, right? Some people think it's a briar. When you break this thing open, it weeps a white latex. The leaf has little bitty spikes on it. See the little hair spikes on the leaves? That is pure painkiller and sleep aid. That is what for thousands of years were used. Then they figured out opium, which they controlled, which is still a plant. They controlled it. Some people call it milkweed. They controlled it, right? And then they figured out these other things. That's what all surgeries and stuff were done for. And then what they did is they took opium and stuff from the poppies, controlled it, synthesized it. That's what it is. This used to be recommended for you to grow at home by the United States government to be able, if you needed help getting to sleep or you had to have surgeries or whatever. No, it's not the same as milkweed. It looks like it. People refer to it thinking it's milkweed. It is not, right? They take this white sap, they gather it all up, they basically kind of dry it or whatever, and it becomes a black ball kind of tar thing. And that's what they use to make these preparations out of. This is what the government used to do. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Then we discovered synthetic medicines. We got to make it. Rockefeller's otherwise. No, it's got to be synthetic medicines. And they completely eradicated this from our medical system, which used to be a standard part. Why? Because it can grow everywhere. Now, how did we even get onto this topic? It is no different than what they did with any vaccination, COVID-19 or otherwise, because that's why I said, Divine, in the scenario of, well, they did this and got rid of the easy one and did this and couldn't. No, it's all a con. It's a con for money. That's it. It's a con for money. Period. Big pharma involved. And that's why I get back to, who do you want to see go to jail or whatever? Bill Gates. You can't control all this stuff. And where it's coming from is from the business side. Now, I want you to understand, this is how a lot of people, and I want you to be very careful here. Things I'm sharing with you are also the very things they use to convince young kids that capitalism is evil and that we need to go communist. So I want you to be very careful. Capitalism is the greatest thing that ever happened to us. But you don't cut ethics or whatever, but somebody doing their money to eradicate everything holistic. We used to have holistic hospitals in the United States of America that only treated you with plants that everybody in Appalachia would be treating you with. That's where mankind gets involved and do a bunch of crap. But you got to walk a fine line here because you can get so pissed, capitalism, bad, and you want communism. That's it. This is the fine line you walk. And they will use a lot of these examples I just showed you to convince young minds, and they'll just take it and corrupt it, that it is what proves that communism are right, which we know it's never worked, the socialism are right. I just want you to understand what you're really dealing with. It's greed. It's money control. And having no ethic, which will go back to Gates. Is Gates sitting there, I can make a mosquito that will kill the mankind? No, it's not how it works. He's not even tracking that money. But if it does good, the people that got Gates money, they're promoting the shit they got Gates money because it makes them look like, well, if you got Bill Gates in, you must be important. Now, what's really interesting is it comes down to your moral and two things. And it's all greed. If you go back to the basics, God gave us everything. A plant didn't evolve and go, well, I'm going to evolve and, oh, I got a seed. Oh, I got to have water. Oh, I got to evolve to the next level and go through the dirt. Oh, I got to evolve and eat sunlight. Oh, I got to evolve. What's my purpose? Oh, I think I'll be a painkiller. That's not how it works. We got everything from God. The synthetic side of it is the transgender effect of medicines in God. Why? They're basically telling you that leaf, you can't, that's not a medicine. It doesn't identify as a medicine. This synthetic beast here identifies as medicine, and this is what you get. It's the same thing. It's industry telling you it knows better than God. Because we have all these answers over here. Now, yes, look, opium is a faster way to get the person to oblivion so you can do deep surgical procedures. Yes, it's much faster getting you there, and it can be longer lasting. It's synthetic. That's fine. We have a use for that. But you don't say, well, wild lettuce, that's all folklore bullshit crap. You don't do it. But it all happens this way. And it's all about somebody decides, fuck it, I'm just going to make money off of it. And in their marketing, because they can't be honest, right? I'm going to sell pillows because I get a commission, and don't have an ethic or moral guidance, they'll sell themselves. Any of this is no different. When we had a crisis in Europe during World War II, and you couldn't really get refined oil in Europe, what were most of the delivery trucks and stuff run off of? Do you know this one? In Europe, crisis with gasoline, petrol for cars. Huge crisis with gasoline. Business is business. You're right. You got to decide where the line is. No. Hydrogen and carbon. But yet they told you things couldn't be run on hydrogen. How'd they do it in Europe? It's called wood gasification. You got a mile per pound of wood. But they'll tell you that's bullshit. But when it came down to it in war and people had to survive, they basically put a slow cooker on their car, ran it right into the air intake system, and they would slow burn wood, which would release hydrogen and carbon. It's called gasification. And they would inject it right into the air intake, and you would get about a mile per pound of wood. And they did that because it worked, and that's how they survived. Until gas came back online, and they had a mounted campaign that told you, no, you can't do that. That doesn't really work, and that's a folklore. But it did, ran whole countries. Wood. But are we doing that today? No, because that's not where the economic interest is. If you just went around collecting dead trees and that's what powered all your equipment, it ran farm equipment and everything. Wood, burnt wood. But look how many times, hydrogen or otherwise. Oh, that's bullshit. That's conspiracy. That's old wives' tale. Because they didn't want you to know it because they couldn't control it. It's the same in election integrity. Oh, don't look at the ballots. That's all just a grip because they can't control it. This is all the same. It's all the same. Politics or otherwise. Fauci, Gates, or otherwise. Money, 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 money. With money comes power. With power, you can tell people what to do. And you tell people to do things that make you more money. Yeah. Wood is worth a mile per pound of wood you burn. So if you got a 200-mile trip one way, you got to make sure you got 200 pounds of wood there to keep on feeding it. But it does it. It's mankind. And they ultimately learn to push the competition out, to consolidate everything down, to try to make it as unique as you can so you can control it. Folks, I live in this world. Patents are about control. My patent work is a little bit different. I don't do patents to control people and say, you can't do that. I do patents to make things bigger. So when you expand them, you can go to the big partners and say, let's just do this together. Yes, bamboo will work. But I sit right in the middle of this space. And so I understand these moves and whatever. And you can still have your patents and do right work, but it's not about shutting people down. It's about shutting bullshit, illegal competition from the big guys down, forcing them to do the right thing the right way. It all depends upon where your moral or ethic is. Every bit of it. Every bit of it. Orange Man says, my uncle had patents that Kodak owns. They sent him wood plaques. You're right. Because he works inside of a company. He developed patents inside of the company. And when you do that, it's basically considered a work product and the company owns it. For some people, that's good because they got a check from the company. I can't do that because you work in a company, you develop patents, the company's going to own them, and you got a check. It's basically servitude for the check. That's why I personally can't do that. I'm going to own them and be on the outside and get a piece of it. But the moral of this whole story is, if we arrest any one person, Gates, Hillary, Obama, goes back to Deborah Richardson that said it, nothing changes. Not a fucking thing. Not one arrest. In fact, here's the moral for my story. See, I think an arrest of Hillary or an arrest of Obama or an arrest in Maricopa for what they did for the election will hurt us. Think about that for a minute. I just told you, I think those arrests would hurt us as a nation. Do you know how I look at it? If they arrest one person for the election stuff, America will get the impression that our elections are fixed, that they're now working, and people will stop pushing. Why? Because they arrested the Maricopa asshole, and they'll just stop. Because you will think the law or justice did its job. So they'll arrest somebody. Thousands, 100,000s of people will think it's fixed. And they will stop pushing. And that arrest won't fix shit. Mo Better says, I disagree. It's okay, Mo. Disagree. I live in this space. It won't fix shit. Won't stop a thing. Because you know why? Criminals take risk all the time based on the amount of money they're promised. Criminals don't fucking fear jail. That's why people will get in the streets and push ICE Somebody else is going to defend them and get them out. But did it change elections? Will it change elections? No. Not at all. Won't change a fucking thing if they get arrested. Right? On my side, I don't want to see people arrested. I want to see people understand how it's broken, how they do it to us, and how to fix it. That's what I want. And therefore, I worry when they parade somebody out. We arrested them for election fraud, and people think it's done. Let me tell you why. Because the system already does that. They'll find one person that voted dead mama's ballot, never tell you how they found them, arrest them and say, see, the election was secure. They pull that con all the time. So I don't care about that. If they arrest Hillary or they arrest Obama, not a fucking thing is going to change. And so you got to stop thinking one individual does it, one individual directs it. That's shallow. It's a token. You don't want, they give us platitudes. I know you're saying there has to be consequence or it'll keep happening. You don't understand both sides. Let me tell you, and here's where I do the red dog. Here's where I do the switch off. I am worried right now that if they arrest a lot of people in this election stuff, everybody will stop thinking about elections. The greatest thing that happened is people start thinking about how it's broken. So people will back off. Lawmakers will back off. Lawmakers will think, well, they tell you this right now. Well, they signed that this is really me because it's in a testament. They'll know they'll go to jail if it's wrong. And so that must be true because they don't want to go to jail. They use this excuse right now. So I pray for something different. I pray for, get ready for this, listen to the whole thing. I pray for, we don't need the arrest right now. We need to fix the rules, the contracts, and the laws. Part of fixing it to block the holes is to have tighter restrictions and tougher penalties. Let's get that fixed first, and then we can begin arresting. But see, I want the paper done. I want the contracts changed. I want the rules fixed, etc. I want very tough penalties for somebody to put a fake name in a database and have the database done, and then let people violate, go kick their ass and throw them under the jail. But right now you can't. That's why, right? Let me put it this way. It says, why do we have laws if they aren't enforced? What's the law? I know it's a trick question, but listen. You tell me what laws we have in elections that enforce elections. Give me one. Of course, people still want fines and time served. It doesn't change the system. We'll still be dealing with it. Give me one law. Okay, in Missouri, you have voter ID. Hold on one second. I found lots of things they did. I found lots of things that are illegal. You're 100%. I'm only calling out the word law. The things we find are the only things that show how the criminal act was perpetrated. What you asked is, why don't we just enforce the laws we have? See, those are two different things. There are election laws. Help America Vote Act, all this, we have laws. the laws are non-enforceable. The laws are non-enforceable. Okay? Period. Okay? The laws are non-enforceable. I'm going to give you a prime example. I forget who said it. Who was it? We got voter ID in Missouri. Okay, you ready? Listen up. I'm going to explain to you how this works and why it's not laws that actually have to change. Write this down. In Missouri, here's what you need to vote in an election by law: a non-expired Missouri's driver's license, a non-expired Missouri non-driver ID can be used, a non-expired U.S. passport, a non-expired military ID, a veteran's ID card, or another photo ID that is not expired issued by the United States or Missouri. Okay? All of those are good, right? Every one of those are good. It's an ID, it's an ID, it's an ID. They don't have telephone bills. They don't have, college IDs. But you failed to go to the second part. Those are the laws on the books. Those are the laws on the books. I just gave it to you. Now we got to go to the second question. Well, what if you show up and you don't have a valid ID? Now listen. If you show up and you don't have a valid ID, or you're not even registered to vote, let me say that again. If you show up and you don't have any of these ID, and you're not even on the voter list, okay? What do? If you ask, they will give you a provisional ballot. And you are allowed to cast your vote because that's the law. Now, I just gave you the loophole in a tight state. Illegals can show up in Missouri. I don't have an ID. I'm not even registered to vote, but it's election day. I want a provisional ballot. They have to give it to you. Now, the question is that provisional ballot going to get counted? Now you understand why the left uses the words, every vote must count. Every vote must count. See, they're telling the truth. I don't give a fuck. But that was put on a paper. That is a vote. You need to count it. See, nobody audits the provisionals. Nobody goes back, right? Nobody goes back, does the homework after the fact to verify if that person was even qualified and tracks it down. And by the way, they can't even tell if it actually got counted because it just goes in the system. And once it goes in the system, they can't pull it back out. And the system knows this. It's a prime example where I don't give a fuck about the laws. Don't wait for the laws. It's the contracts. It's the definitions. It's not illegal to run in a provisional ballot for somebody who couldn't qualify. Why? Oh, that was a boo-boo. I didn't know. So tell me how the Help America Vote Act, the Electronic Assistance Commission, or any of that fixes that. There's no law that can take that person that ran it in knowing it wasn't good because it was a provisional, but still did it because they were fucking lazy at their job or anything like that. They still ran it in. That's not a crime. Now you understand why I say we've got to get it down to definitions, and you can't fix it with an executive order. because the president can only write an executive order for federal stuff. And then it'll be changed if another opposing administration comes in. They just undo the executive order. It's about getting down to the basics and the rules and understanding every bit of this. And that's what people won't do. And that's why I tell you an arrest will not make a difference. What will make a difference is getting the right advice from the right people, and then understanding from a business standpoint, from an operational standpoint, from a procedural standpoint, how to plug the hole. And the government can say, if a government employee does this, then they can automatically make it a crime and they don't need a bill. Now you understand why I'm not for, I don't give a shit if they arrest anybody. That ain't going to fix shit. We just did this in real time. You can double check me. And you can see the loopholes. The laws, unfortunately, are written with the loopholes in it. Because laws don't go deep enough. Because it's written by two types of people. People that don't know shit about how it really works, and the people that know how the rig has worked, and they take out the keywords that make it non-enforceable. But it looks like, hey, we passed a law. It's called Never Gonna Lose an Election Again law. And everybody goes, and then you wonder why it's fucked up later. Welcome to the real world, folks. Welcome to what I beat my head against every day. And I got to fight fucking ignorant bow ties that swear to God they're math genius to the world, choir teacher, polynomial fucks, and that I'm a grifter filling you with shit. When you can check my work, that's how the system plays. I'm just their lard and their real butter that they want to get you away from and tell you, no, he'll give you a heart attack. You need Crisco polynomial. It's how it all works, folks. Welcome to the game. Welcome to the game. And Missouri's a tight state, but every single illegal whatever can go there. They can bus in people. They can bus in people from other states, which they do, and do this shit. It's like what I see the other day. I don't know if the numbers are real. Tina will not get released. Sorry. I've been telling you that the whole time. I told you Tina stuff all the way through the process, and I told you President Trump couldn't do shit about it because it was such a sophisticated process. They knew to do it at the state. They left nothing unturned. But I told you that. But don't mind me. I'm just a Mossad double agent, hung like horse. Well, they got that one right. But Mossad double agent, asshole grifter, fuckawad Jew. This is the game. And it's dirty. But you're the fix. And when you understand these things that I just gave you, well, in Missouri, we have ID law. It's great. Okay, that's what you were told. Now let's audit it. And when you see the audit, you understand the loophole. So, is it the person who came in to pass that bullshit vote that's the criminal? No, it is not. It's the politicians and the operatives who write it this way so they can get people to come in. I don't want the fucking one-off Juan Julio bejesus Zohar. I don't want his ass. I want the ones that enabled it back here to shut that down. And that takes a different strategy. But then again, the United States doesn't know the difference between voter fraud and election fraud. And what I was getting to, I saw something from maybe Elizabeth Warren, but it said they were like 700,000 duplicates, voter files in her state. And somehow she wins her state by a margin that's equal to half of that, meaning here's a real voter, here's a fake voter. And she seems to always win her elections by the amount of duplicates they've now found of a good voter, but that voter also voting again. That's how it works. Truth hurts. Truth hurts. I will always evidence my work. I will always show you how it is. Many times you will hate me for it. I'm okay with that. It does fuck with my brain, but I'm okay with that. It's what comes with it. We are in trouble in the midterms. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out war. That's why we need help protecting the archives, right? We've told you that. We've carried this as far as we can. God bless some super people freaking helping this out. We still have a ways to go. I know you put yourself on a target list every time you help, and people, why do they target people? Why do they want to know who donates to what campaign? So they can fucking harass you out of it. It's the same tactic the Dems use. But here's the proof. And I don't need any choir degree, math degree, infiltrate an Antifa call, or to be a former teacher at a junior college of a half-hour business class to show you. Here it is, folks. They're getting ready. And you forget one thing about my work. My work is based on 100% not my fucking opinion. This is what the paper says. This is the physical ballot. They failed everywhere. This is when they ran them in. It's not my opinion. Oh, by the way, here are the states that allow motor voter. It's the same fucking states we have problem with that want to correct everything. Here it is. Here's the states that don't have voter motor and how they vote. But it's a 6-degree polynomial of an aphonomial of a 1-1-1 to a 1-1 ratio of a bow tie of an Antifa. And I swear on my law degree, you'll never find me as a prosecutor, but here it is how they do it. And it's the machines. And if you don't believe me, ask the infomercial salesman of pillows. He'll tell you I'm telling you the truth. Fuck that shit. I love you all. Welcome to the crap. Share this program. Would you please? Share this program.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother. Wow, she tried to hit an agent with her car. Oh no, pop motherfucker, now she's gone. Yeah. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. You fuck around and find out it's what it is. Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
So you have a centralized statewide voter roll that's on networked machines, servers. It has a public-facing internet interface. That's it. That's all I need to know that it's blown. That's a centralized statewide voter roll that was mandated by Help America Vote Act. They have these all over the country. And it's not just that you have a public-facing internet interface to it, but multiple organizations have what's called an API, or an application programming interface. In other words, a machine-to-machine interface into that voter roll. And I'm telling you this because when people say, well, we have to clean up the voter rolls, it's true that they're not following the law. It's true that they're not in good faith maintaining them in accordance with Title 52 that requires that the voter rolls be both secure and accurate. That's a requirement imposed on the secretaries of state who've received the Help America Voting Act and CARES Act funding to maintain those voting systems. What nobody's going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, is you cannot clean those rolls. You're sweeping a dirt floor. Those things can be changed in microseconds, and they are changed in microseconds, and we've got proof of that happening in multiple states where voters are shifted between counties, they're made active, they're made inactive, they're deleted off the rolls after voting and then brought back in a month later. These things cannot be maintained
So here's the thing. I want to point this out. For those of you that are Jovan fans, be a Jovan fan, right? But that clown got out there and said, oh, it's nothing going to happen. We have the secret bullet. Remember? Do you remember this before? Have you heard this before, Apollo?
Yeah, yes.
Don't worry, we're working on it. Then somebody sent me a video of him stealing the Erickson report, parts from the Erickson report, and publishing it as if it was his data.
What?
And then he didn't take a call from Michael. Canceled a meeting he had with Michael. Oh, yeah. You didn't hear about this?
No, what?
So then he's bad-mouthing me for being out here. And I was like, where's Joe? He's going to save us. We trust Jovan working with these people. Let me explain something to you. Jovan could go sit on a stick, a jagged stick. He'd go sit on it, right? The guy literally doesn't know anything about technology. You want to take this back? You want to talk about this kinematic audit? He didn't do a kinematic audit. He didn't produce a report. He didn't do jack squat. And for all the people that are on our side that say, oh, yeah, no, Jovan's work is good, show it to me. I've been through every one of his videos.
It's QAnon movement, the same damn thing.
It's bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit.
It is. It's all. Yeah, it is. It's just to keep you suppressed. It's probably freaking false information from the left because everybody just follows whatever they want, anything they want to believe. They don't want to actually go out and do something.
He's either a psychophant or he's a Fed. That's it. You want to know what I think? People have been asking me what I think. That's what I think. Fed or psychophant? You pick. And I told everyone, I was like, listen, if he wants to battle, Apollo, Tig, I have nothing left, right? I have nothing left.
Almost none of us.
So if I have to every single day point out the fact that the guy's a clown, I will. He wants to fight. He wants to come after me and criticize me. Apollo, please tell me. Would I make it my goal? I'm like a dog with a bone to make sure everyone knows who Jovan Pulitzer is.
Extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is 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 extremely dangerous to our democracy.
You fight for free and fair elections, invent and scan the ballots of kinematic artifact detection. You love to read and learn, travel and explore. You're a fearless, braveheart patriot who's opened doors. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. You lead by God and always do what's right. In the battle for our nation, you lead the fight. We pray for your safety, the armor of God to protect you from all of us. Here's a thank you for all that you do. brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. Jovan, you're a hero we stand behind. We're inspired by the fire inside your eyes. American proud, we know you fight till your dying day, and we'll always stand behind you through everything. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you.